Hello and welcome to Actions to Wealth UK with me, Ash Bull. I'm just going to run you through some of the trades and foreign exchange currency crosses that I'm looking at this week. We will start here with the dollar CAD. Now, the dollar has been a little bit turbulent recently. We've seen the Trump administration get his first knockback as he took the healthcare bill through the voting process, and it got voted down, so they had to pull it in the end. So Trump Care was taken off the agenda. That might start to bring in questions about Trump's tax reforms and infrastructure building that he wants to do. As he takes it into the government, they appear to be at the minute questioning some of the policies that he was so bullish on getting through nice and quickly. Aside from any of that, they would still have to go to the Senate, and the Senate might bat it back anyway. So that's the first thing to mention, is that the dollar is again getting a little bit of confusion set in play because of what's going on with Trump. But given that, I'm going to look at some dollar weakness coming up this week. However, things can change. You can see that right now. This is a weekly chart. We have something of a hammer here, which does suggest some upside, but I would only be looking for maybe a little bit of upside before we start to come down again. We did start to get through these levels here initially, but you can see that it's been pretty volatile. A lot of bouncing around with these levels. We were through. It's kind of through again. But does this suggest upside or downside at this point? I'm going to be playing the downside, but things can change. So I'll be watching this one closely, as with all my charts, because I'm going to be looking to try and trade the lines as much as possible. This does suggest that we do have some weakness here. This is a decent inverted hammer, which suggests that we could start to come down. The key level for me along this area is going to be here. Pretty steep, which will become a lot clearer when we bring up a 4-hour chart. These are the levels that I'm looking at. So a push up into this area maybe earlier on in the week, and then I'll be looking for this just to show signs of weakness and see if we can start to turn around, and I'll be looking to trade that probably along this line here, but things may well change as the days go on, but probably with a break of that particular level, I'll be looking to trade that to the downside. If the adverse happens and we get through, then I'll be waiting for the pullbacks and the moves to the upside, and as I say, that's going to be the case with all these trades. I'll be looking for a specific direction early on, but it doesn't necessarily mean that will play out, because we are right on levels that would suggest that resistance would become support, or vice versa, depending on what trade we're talking about at the specific time. So dollar CAD will be a short initially. Aussie CAD, I'm also looking for a short. Again, we're going to start with a weekly. This is an area you can see of resistance up here. Looks like we had just a little bit of a level along here, only a couple of touches, but the fact that we are now through that level does suggest that we could see some further downside. Again, I'd like a push up into some sort of area just to give us something of what would look like a reversal pattern. Maybe this becomes the left shoulder. We might be looking to carve out a right shoulder, but I'll be looking for downside again with the Aussie CAD. Euro Kiwi is the adverse of that, and when I look at the Kiwi, then it does start actually to look fairly decent for some trades back to the upside. This has been it's been aggressively sold off recently. Now, if we look on this weekly chart, then this is the indication. Euro NZ has been pushing aggressively to the upside. We may not yet be quite on levels of resistance that are tradable off this weekly chart, so we'll have to see whether there's just a little bit more upside here before this one starts to turn around. But I'll be looking for something in the area that we're in just to see whether that's going to fail. It might be that we were looking at these close prices rather than the actual shadows here. So if the close prices play out, then I'll be looking for this level for a potential move back to the downside. Again, this area looks like it's giving us that 3 touches, which suggests that there is some resistance up here, which could start to move us back down again from this point. So again, looking at the 4-hour chart, I'll be looking for breaks of levels that have been so far trending to the upside. So I'll be looking for a break of this level somewhere around this area. I'll be looking for a move back to the downside. The best area would be a push through the level and also this particular area here. So that area is around about 1.53 1.4. So I'll be looking for a move down, a move back up, and then trying to see if I can get some sort of sell off at that particular point. Pound Swiss, interesting. My first thought of this was maybe go for a long, but actually the good thing about looking at our longer term charts is that they really give us more of the whole picture when we start to look through these. And looking at the longer term charts, looking at this, it appears to me that there could well be a level just along here that may... Now, if we look at this particular bar here, that's a doji bar, which does suggest that there could be some weakness coming into play. When we look along this particular level here, and we look along this particular level here, we are at some resistance. We're at resistance levels. Whether that resistance is significant as we need it to be, that's yet to be seen. There might be just another push back to the upside, but I'm certainly looking for it to be caged around about this area and then a move into the into the downside. Looking at those particular levels there on a daily chart, we'll bring up a fib. I haven't done these on the other charts, but this is the process. So I've done these obviously when I've been analysing before coming on to do this video, but this one I just wanted to kind of bring into play the fact that this is the 38% retracement, but we've tested the 50. So this area between the 50 and the 38.2% retracement looks to be a fairly decent area to try and trade this to the downside. Now we bring this weekly one back up, the weekly chart back up, and you can see that there's a spot right along there. Now that spot is coinciding with this 38.2% retracement. It could have been a little bit higher. There was another spot which does take us that little bit higher. So somewhere in this area, again, that does suggest that we could start to see some downside ensuing, and this is the point that I want to see broken down, because we do have a decent hammer here, which does suggest some upside, but this is the area that we're going to need to see broken down. It's already starting to hold, so it does suggest that this line is being seen. If this line gets broken down, then we can start taking trades to the downside. If the line does start to hold, then possibly we're waiting for just a little bit more upside, carving out some sort of distribution pattern, an inverted, a head and shoulders pattern up here, and then moving to the downside. But a pound Swissy short, which would also coincide with a pound euro pound short long, so euro against the pound, and I'll be looking for a long in that one. This is the weekly, which doesn't tell us a whole bunch, except for there's indecision in this area. But again, just looking for a horizontal level. The horizontal level looks to have held out fairly well so far. So looking again for some breaks on this daily chart, really, to suggest further upside in this euro. So there's a little bit of time with this one, but that's the point that I'd really like to take some trades in this one, moving to the upside, breaking this particular area here. So, but breaking the horizontal level and the trend line here would suggest that there is some upside in this one. If that wasn't to happen, we go up to that particular level and it starts looking on the shorter term time frames that we actually have got to sell. That will change my stance on that. Now, I mentioned that the Kiwi potentially being a decent long. Here's some other charts and currency pairs against the Kiwi, which would suggest that to me. This one's a little bit scruffy. You can see the Kiwi NZ, the NZ CAD is not really too conclusive at this stage. We do have this head and shoulders forming, but we're not too we're not really in an area that would suggest that this is the area to try and trade to the downside as yet. So I'll be looking to see if this horizontal level here has been penetrated and then starts to move us back up again, and then just looking to possibly trade in something like this area, trying to take this back up to something like this area. So when we look at that on a 4-hour, that does suggest that there's plenty of room to the upside. The fact that we've managed to now penetrate this area looks like we might actually be getting this one earliest in the week. So looking for upside, depending on what happens early on in the first few bars of this week. This one I'm going to be looking for a long, and probably Monday or Tuesday this week I'll be looking for that long. The Kiwi yen also kind of adds to the picture of some potential Kiwi strength here. When we look at this Kiwi yen, absolutely trading to the downside, and it's been pretty punished as we look at that one. But the thing that interests me at this particular point is the fact that we have this level here, which does suggest that we already have a potential level of support down here. And also, when we draw a trend line from this point here, that is also suggesting that we've got this falling wedge that looks like if that one we can pick it up at the lows here, if it pushes to that area and through, if we're fortunate enough to still be in, then that could be quite lucrative. But it just looks like there could actually be some just some squeezing back to the upside from this particular point. Not necessarily one that I'd be that interested in, but if it started to shape up, there's every possibility and chance that I would be looking for that. And again, just on a 4-hour, it looks to me like the resistance points are somewhere around here. So I'll be looking for that one to push through that level, try and take it on a back test. Also trying to see if we can break that particular horizontal level and then push back to the upside, and that would be the particular target. So there are a few of the trades that I'm looking at this week. Now let's just check the news and data just to see what might change or help or maybe even hinder the trading week altogether. So IFO business climate. So obviously we mentioned the Euro Kiwi and also the Euro Pound as well. A few bits and pieces out of Australia. Big news, CB consumer confidence from the States, and the Bank of Canada, Governor Polis speaks. So that might start to give us our trades in the Aussie CAD and dollar CAD as well. Crude oil inventories also will be quite important for the CAD. Final GDP quarter on quarter, that's going to be quite an important number, a very important number, and unemployment came from the United States. The Kiwis back in the news, but not massive. Building consensus, that may just give us a little bit of a boost if our trade is going in the right direction. And finally, Friday, the big news is GDP month over month from Canada, current account from the UK. So the Swissy pound and dollar CAD, Kiwi CAD possibly would also be in focus there. Maybe even pound CAD. Things do change through the week. So there will be updates as we go on. Obviously, be listening into Actions to Wealth. Every show will give you as much knowledge and help that you'll need to help with the trading week to make it that little bit clearer. And I will be back on Tuesday, I believe, with Chloe. So hopefully I will speak to some of you then in the show. Have a great week. Be vigilant and enjoy your trading.